The UConn Huskies look officially broken. Their offense has been disjointed, their defensive efforts irregular, and to put it bluntly, it feels like they haven't played with each other before. There's no team chemistry. Their third-ranked loss of the season came today, this time against the number 10 ranked Texas Longhorns, and it exemplified these issues with the team, and even with that exciting late comeback that nearly resulted in them stealing the win. The other three quarters painted a pretty clear picture of the disastrous season we're seeing happening in stores. In today's video, I'll be breaking down what happened in today's game between the Huskies and Longhorns, the reasons why UConn failed to play up to standard again for most of the match, and ultimately, what they can do to salvage this brutal season. Before we start, if you're new here and enjoy the video, be sure to subscribe for more women's basketball content like this. But with that being said, let's look at this game between UConn and Texas. In my eyes, a big part for as to why UConn lost this game was that they allowed themselves to, once again, get punched right in the mouth by their opposition to start the game. Texas got out to an outrageously hot start, shooting 8 for 9 from the field to begin the game, almost immediately hopping out to a double-digit lead. Sure, that's not overly sustainable, but it forced UConn into immediately having to play catch-up for the rest of the night. The Huskies were flat with energy to begin this one, particularly defensively. I'll go in more depth on this later, but in transition, there was a clear lack of effort to get back and pick up their opponent, so it led to open triples that would have been incredibly demoralizing to take at that point of the game. At the end of the first, UConn once again scored under 16 points. These slow starts are becoming a trend, and at least in this game, it came from a lack of on-ball usage for Paige. In my opinion, UConn ran far too many off-ball actions for Paige to start this game once again. It became too frequent and predictable for the Longhorns to read these plays, and resultantly, they forced numerous turnovers. I don't hate the idea of Beckers being used as an off-ball threat because she is a good one and it diversifies UConn's offense, but with UConn's offense really struggling as of late, I feel like forcing her to be a glorified shooting guard really doesn't make sense when she's obviously going to have a bigger impact and more control over the game when the ball is in her hands. She's crucial to getting UConn to be successful on that end. I mean, she basically carried UConn to a Final Four in her freshman and sophomore years. So it was frustrating watching UConn's set plays fail time and time again because of the lack of confidence of the ball handlers that weren't Paige, which reminds me similarly to the UCLA game. So, to be honest, I really would have liked to see Paige get the opportunity to take over this game sooner and be the primary ball handler from the jump. To give credit where it's due though, UConn's shot selection was actually quite great in this game, and they shot the hell out of the ball from the field, finishing this game with a field goal percentage of almost 60%. Aaliyah Edwards finally returned to form. She finished this game with 22 points and was a catalyst for generating UConn's offense, taking on defenders on drives from the high post. However, despite the ridiculous efficiency from the Huskies that may suggest they had a good game offensively, they couldn't quite stick with Texas for a couple of reasons. One of the major problems that occurred in this game for UConn, as I briefly highlighted before, was their turnovers. Texas's immense defensive pressure and ability to read UConn's predictable sets forced the Huskies into countless errors. So despite their excellent shooting, it was hard for them to even get looks at the basket multiple possessions in a row. In fact, UConn finished this game with 21 turnovers, by far the most for them this season, and ultimately, the Longhorns scored 36 points off of those turnovers. That's just blatantly unacceptable. Furthermore, UConn's inability to win the battle on the glass hurt them again. While Edwards had a fantastic game offensively, I'm still looking for her to be far more aggressive on the boards, and I think that was a letdown tonight on her part. UConn allowed Texas to grab 9 offensive rebounds in the first half and 17 for the entire game. When your main front court piece is only grabbing 2 boards and a half, you simply won't be putting yourself in the best position to win. No other way about it. So it's apparent why UConn lost this one. These two problems that arose in this game caused UConn to get outshot by 24 shots. Yes, 24, with Texas finishing this game with 68 field goal attempts compared to the Huskies' 44. Had UConn's effort on the glass been better, or with some smarter passes and just some average ball security, maybe the result is different. But in the end, it was UConn that shot themselves in the foot and threw away any chance of winning this one. The biggest thing that stuck out to me in this game though was the lack of team chemistry on the court. It felt like this team hadn't played with each other before and that they were still learning each other's tendencies and patterns. For that level of miscommunication offensively and especially defensively to be happening 7 games into a season is reason for concern, and today I feel like it peaked. The poor chemistry led to way too many turnovers offensively and resulted in Texas buckets on the other end. I think this lack of chemistry though was most notable in transition. Like here, Rory Harmon, who was absolutely elite today by the way and deserves a lot of praise for her performance, flies by several UConn defenders getting back in transition. No Husky even attempts to pick her up until it's too late. I know they were trying to run a zone for most of this game, but someone has to pick up the ball, especially when Rory Harmon was shooting lights out from that area. There's no understanding of who's doing what, and it allows Harmon to easily weave into the paint, pull up in rhythm, and drain the jump shot for 2 of her 27 points. Again here, this isn't much of a communication issue, but again just poor transition defense. UConn give Booker too much space, so she punishes it and drops in the midi. To put it simply, the Huskies look broken right now. Their confidence is low, Gino Auriemma seems like he really doesn't care all too much, and they are getting outworked and outclassed in every facet of the game, from defensive intensity to the rebounding battle to scoring the ball. So, what needs to change? In my opinion, I'd love to see Gino start trusting the freshmen a lot more and giving them some game time. The best way to develop a young player is with actual game experience, and with the Huskies season at a breaking point, you might as well take the risk by playing some of these girls higher minutes. Nika Mule shouldn't be playing 38 minutes in a game like today, especially when KK Arnold can come on and get to the line 3 times, or Shade can shoot the lights out to give the Huskies an offensive spark. UConn needs some revitalization in their offensive system, and sure, Paige should be leading the way regardless, but it would be dumb to continue to surround her with the current lineups that are so clearly not working. Let's be honest, it's hard to see UConn making a Final Four appearance at this point, let alone the Elite 8. So, what's the risk? Why not roll the dice and get some minutes into the younger classes? It's not like these are bad players, they're at UConn for a reason, and clearly they can provide much needed offensive relief when given the chance. The freshers play with high intensity and with passion because they're trying to prove themselves. They show effort. So, why not play a lineup of Paige, Edwards, KK, Shade, and Griffin, or something along those lines? I feel like there's no downside to trying that out, or at the very least, giving girls like KK Arnold and Shade more minutes, especially as we approach in-conference play. Ultimately, confidence is low right now in stores. The body language on the court suggests these Huskies are frustrated with how they're playing. Who knows how quickly this can be fixed, but there's too much talent on the roster to suggest they can't turn it around. But as I've stated, turnovers, poor rebounding, and bad defense again cost the Huskies in this game today. Moreover, poor team chemistry and a clear lack of confidence in some of the players is something now impacting this team too. And that's a concern we should definitely be keeping an eye on going forward, and it's something Gino Auriemma needs to fix ASAP. Otherwise, these broken Huskies might enter a downward spiral that could be hard to stop. If you made it this far though, you must have enjoyed this analysis, so be sure to like the video and subscribe for more women's basketball content like this. Be sure to let me know all your thoughts on this game down in the comments below. Obviously, I feel like Texas hit a lot of tough shots and their offense was cooking, especially out the gate, but these issues with UConn keep appearing time and time again, and it's starting to wear down their confidence, and I think that's a bit of a concern that we have to address. Anyway, with that being said, I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.